You looked into the mirror too long, didn't you? You thought it was just a reflection, a flat surface bouncing back light. But somewhere, deep in that silence, you felt it. A shift. A presence that wasn't yours, yet knew everything about you. That's how it begins. The experiment isn't new. People have stared into mirrors for centuries, not to admire, but to pierce. Monks, mystics, scientists. They all notice the same thing. Stare long enough, and something stares back. And not metaphorically. There's a documented phenomenon in psychology called the strange face illusion. When you gaze into a mirror for 10 uninterrupted minutes under low light, your face begins to distort. Shadows twist, features melt, eyes hollow. But here's the unsettling part. Many people don't just see distortions, they see others. Unknown faces, entities, something looking through. You weren't hallucinating. Your brain wasn't broken. It was adjusting. Your mind is constantly stitching reality together, filling in gaps, ignoring inconsistencies. But when you remove distractions, when you focus on a single unmoving point, especially your own eyes, something strange happens. Your sense of self begins to loosen. The layers peel back. And if you're not alone in the room, you might not be alone in your awareness. That's where the ritual begins. It requires two people, not to talk, not to touch, just to look. You become the sender, the other becomes the receiver. You stare at your reflection, but you don't stay there. You prepare. You silence the noise in your head. You tune into your body. Breath, pulse, subtle shifts in muscle tension, noticing everything. This is called proprioception, the awareness of your internal state. You are no longer your thoughts. You're a container. You become still, focused, present. And then you raise the frequency. You think of courage, gratitude, peace. Not because it feels good, but because those emotional states open you. They widen the channel. Fear tightens it. Shame collapses it. Joy, though, it expands your perception until it reaches beyond your skin. Then comes the visualization. You imagine your consciousness as an arrow, pulled back slowly, charged with intent, and when you're ready, you release. That arrow arcs across maps, boundaries, bodies. You imagine it landing in the space where the receiver sits. Not physically, energetically. You aim for presence, not precision. The receiver, meanwhile, simply opens, breathes, allows. They don't seek. They listen. Not with ears, but with the body. And what arrives, often arrives subtly. A sensation in the hand. A flicker of someone else's memory. A sudden wave of emotion that has no origin. This isn't fantasy. Neuroscience backs it. Mirror neurons. Emotional resonance. The polyvagal theory. When two people sit in silence with full attention, their heart rates begin to synchronize. Their nervous systems align. The body responds to intention, even imagined ones. Mental rehearsal activates the same brain regions as real actions. That's not speculation. It's measurable. But here's the twist. The mirror is never just reflecting you. It's reflecting what you believe you are. And in this ritual, belief is the gatekeeper. If you enter it casually, nothing will happen. If you enter it cynically, you'll block the signal. But if you enter it fully, emotionally present and open, something happens. Not always loud, but always real. Sometimes, the receiver speaks of things they shouldn't know. Sometimes, the sender bursts into tears, feeling something they've never touched. And occasionally, both people end the ritual feeling like they swapped places, like their inner world was rearranged. It's not telepathy, it's not magic, it's awareness, focused, shared, and stripped of noise. And it doesn't end with the session. Afterward, both participants sit in silence. Then they share, not to analyze, to witness. What did you feel? What surfaced? Any strange images, sounds, or memories? The purpose isn't validation. It's mapping. Mapping the unseen terrain of shared consciousness. Some repeat the ritual after a break. Switch roles. Explore it again. But the second time is different, easier, deeper. Because once your mind has touched someone else's, really touched, it remembers the way back. Here's the part you weren't told. This isn't a new practice. It's a remembering. Ancient cultures practiced versions of this in sacred sites, under moonlight, in caves. They didn't call it neuroscience. They called it initiation. You weren't meant to live this life disconnected. Your thoughts aren't isolated. They echo. And with focus, intention, and presence, they can be heard. Not metaphorically, literally. Felt in the breath of another. And here's what they don't teach in school, or therapy, or science journals. When two minds link like this, even briefly, it changes you. Something opens. You begin to see echoes of them in your own thoughts. Their emotions ripple through your days. It fades, yes, but never entirely. That's how deep the link can go. You may start to dream of each other, or smell things that only exist in their memory, or finish their sentences before they're spoken. It sounds fantastical, but it's a natural extension of shared emotional resonance. Once you've walked through the doorway, the room stays with you. And this doorway, it's always been here, hidden behind distractions, filtered through disbelief, buried under noise. But every now and then, when the world goes quiet enough, you feel it. The pull, the hum, that sense that someone else is listening, even when no one is there. So you test it. You stare, you breathe, you reach. And maybe, just maybe, someone reaches back. So the next time you look into a mirror, ask yourself, am I alone in here? Or is someone waiting for you to remember the way back? Subscribe if you're ready to remember.